Hello there. Welcome to the new episode. Before we even start, I wanted to bring up something very important. Okay. So, last episode, last episode, we started the podcast by saying that we should figure out some way to open every episode, which is like a short intro, so that people who are tuning into any sort of random episode have at least a semblance of a context. And then went on to finish the entire episode on some tangent that we went on and never got to the point.
Oh, we have a problem. I used to think I have a problem, but after meeting you, I realized you are in
Yeah,
it.
I am also very problematic. And this is just chaos because there is
It's
no regulation, no control.
it's okay. The flow, we are going with the flow.
Here's the funny part. When I started that sentence, I thought you understood. And you didn't even understand that that's what I was getting to until I actually got to it. So we have some problems that need to be addressed and spoken about. Put it out in the open and let's fix this.
Yeah, we could make an intro theme or something.
Yeah. So you know what, for the interest of
Do you
not,
have any musician friends or
we're digressing again.
sorry?
Come back. Come back, Anushka.
It's okay. Like my
You
creative brain
literally did
cannot
it.
work.
Oh, God.
I'm thinking like if you have musician friends, maybe we can contact someone for an
No.
intro.
This is neurodivergence in action. It's happening.
Yes.
We're buffering in real time. It's okay. Come back, come back. I'm reeling you back in. Come back. We're discussing.
Where are we coming back to? I don't understand.
Oh my God. We can't do this. Okay. If we want to be big name podcasters who make a lot of money, we can't keep this.
Although, like, I doubt anyone's making or like say
I
some,
mean,
but
some people are. Some people are.
very few. Uh, my idea is more that we get popular enough through the podcast that we make money through other things.
Oh, okay.
That is my game plan.
You want to be popular enough to sell a shirt. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and not too popular. I don't want everyone to know me that I
Mhm.
can't work
Okay,
out.
what's the bounds? What's the lower and upper criteria? Let's go.
Oh,
Make
I
points
will
now.
tell. I know. Like I have it. Like
Oh,
I've
okay, cool.
thought about it. I
Yeah,
figured
yeah.
this out.
Hmm.
I want to be popular enough that people who matter know me and
Hmm.
not other people know me. That I can still walk around the streets and get my groceries and stuff,
Hmm.
and not creepy people know me.
Okay.
That's why I don't have a public account because
Hmm.
creepy people outside.
Hmm.
But people who make decisions and are important, like you know how like in India, there is the whole Bollywood which everyone knows and the
Hmm.
influencers that, but then there are these
Indie,
quietly
indie
businesses. Yeah,
films.
no, I was gonna say like businessmen and like quiet money makers in the
Okay, okay. I
background,
see what you mean. I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
also
Okay.
hanging out with them, but you don't really know who they are. You're like, oh, I've seen this person. Maybe
There's
like
someone
doesn't
important, but
matter.
like, yeah, it's not in the public eye.
Yeah, not very important person.
Hmm.
That not very important person that they think is what I want to be someday. Yeah,
That's a pretty cool thing to be.
yeah, because oh,
That would also involve you still meeting a lot of people. Like it's still a lot of people. Like a lot of people know you from like a very layman point of view, but in the grand scheme of things, not many people know you. So that's what you're aiming for, right?
I don't want the majority to know me, but maybe
Cool.
being popular means that but the majority of my world would know me, not the majority of the world needs to know
Ah,
me.
okay, I see.
Does
So
that
it's
make
sort of like
sense?
you were talking about mini communities and stuff. So you want to be known in these communities, basically, right?
Oh yes.
because
Yes.
that's what that those are the things that
That's
matter.
the community that matters to me.
Yeah. So if you're someone who's famous enough in the vegan community, or you want to have your niche, basically, you take a niche and become popular in that niche. So
Yes.
only people from that niche know you and no
And
one
if
else.
anyone wants to be in that niche, they know who to get to.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
con yeah, I think that is
Okay.
the
Okay. I
space
mean,
I want to
the
be.
same as the small community that you were talking about in the last episode, right?
Was actually considering starting a community space, which I
For
was like, hmm. So I have been thinking about it for a while. I
Mm.
think a lot. Like, I spend a lot of time by myself, so
Yeah.
I think a lot.
Yes.
And this feels like a therapy session because I had therapy today and I was telling my therapist, I think a lot. I have thought about it. If you
So
think
let's
there
talk
is an
about that.
aspect, yeah, because a lot of times your therapist would be like, have you thought about it in this angle? I have thought
Oh, yeah, I
about it
thought it
all
in every
angles.
angle.
Yeah, every single way I've thought about it.
Mm,
Yeah, and I also think like if I was a super like hero or like if I had superpowers, it would be like Doctor Strange's powers where I think all scenarios
mm,
and
mm.
then know which one's the best because that's what usually happens. But what was community? Yes,
Community.
I thought about it a lot, especially because last week, like this week, I was very sick. I realized like when you're sick and you're outside,
Mm,
look, like not in India, it's
mm,
very like lonely because like I live by
mm,
myself and I have to do stuff by myself, and
mm,
even if I'm sick, I have to cook. No
mm.
matter how sick I am, I have to figure
Right.
things out. And I was thinking about generally that like I also went on a trip and with a group of people, and I've realized that a lot of them were also, even though it was a trip with like 26 people
Mm,
throughout, like each one of us felt lonely in different aspects in the trip. And I could feel it, like I could sense there
mm.
were people who were going through stuff and feeling disconnected. Uh,
Right.
but there are so many of us that constantly feel not constant, but very often feel
Very
lonely,
often.
and
Right.
we just let it pass because
Mm,
we also feel like nobody understands. I
mm.
think it's just that because we don't talk about it enough, and
Right.
the like with social media,
Mm.
it's not to help you. Like
Yeah.
the
It's
current
not
social
the
media apps or spaces that we have right now is
Mm,
not for you to feel actually truly connected, and
right.
entail like this includes Bumble or like dating apps,
Any
Bumble BFF.
communities also, any non-romantic communities as well.
Yes,
Whatever it is.
it's they aren't focusing on your well-being. Like,
Mm,
yes, even the well-being apps are like more of your holistic, individualistic sort of
mm,
well-being. It's
mm.
not about your well-being in a social space. You still
Right.
have to figure it out and go out with your friends
Yes.
and maybe
Yes.
talk one-on-one, but there
Mm,
isn't a space, and I don't understand why there isn't. Like, it's a huge gap in the market. Why can't people see? I'm sure some companies are trying to develop something for it, but
mm,
there isn't a good social media app or like a social app where you can
mm.
actually connect with someone and have a conversation with someone
Right.
where they are also like, I feel like at this point they should have emotionally available labels or socially available labels on
Mm,
profiles and all of those aspects. Like even with Instagram right now, the features that they are developing is
mm,
more about how to engage more, how to make sure that a user spends more time on their app. And
mm,
every time I switch off Instagram, I'm just like, I don't feel good about myself. There's nothing, like, you don't get a good feeling. And I would rather spend time on my phone, like having a connection or building a connection with someone and having a conversation, and there is nothing on my phone right
mm,
now that helps me with it.
mm,
So I want to build something in that space and I don't know how,
mm,
but maybe the starting point would be to have a community of people. But I also wanted to stay in the neurodivergence space because I think we need the most help.
Yeah,
So
this is an interesting thing. I want to like make sure we get to that at some point about the neurodivergence also, because I looked it up because of you. You put up some either some story or you mentioned it at some point, because of which I looked into it, and it was very cool because I also wanted to find out a few things, just
oh,
observations that I've had about myself. But
I actually didn't ever point it out, but I knew you were neurodivergent from the start. I didn't want to say it, but I knew it. That's why we have this podcast. I knew it
yeah,
from the start. You just
yeah,
know.
yeah, you just know. I think because when I did look it up, of course, they sort of give you like a broad overview of these are the possible things. So I'm obviously not clinically diagnosed or gone into, but from what I see, like, okay, cool, I can sort of relate to a bunch of these. And I know it because it's only, I never show it. So if I tell someone, everyone will be like, no, you're not like that. Because we
Exactly.
know I'm not like that because
That's
it's a me, you're observing me. I have made it seem like it's not like that, which is why you feel so. But that
which
is
a
how I
lot of
feel.
people do. For
Yes,
the
which a lot of
longest
people
time,
do.
like people who are neurodivergent might not even know that they are neurodivergent because they are in a structure or in a
Right,
working in a way in an organization that
right.
you're masking from
Mm.
people and even from yourself. Like you will
Yes.
not figure out.
You will not figure it out. And you have to be just like brutally honest and be like, yeah, I'm doing this because I see it. And to the outside world, to everyone, maybe it'll appear like, okay, cool, you have a good job and you're working well, and sure, none of your senior managers or anything hate you, so you're not going to get fired. You're riding the wave of mediocrity and surviving in there, and you know all the struggles you go through. You know how often you'll forget it, and how there are some days where it'll take me an entire hour to start working because I can't remember where I left off or what was the point of why I did a thing. Okay, so some days it literally that there would be 10 minutes where I don't do anything. I just look at the screen and not do anything. So all of these patterns, I know that it happens to me, but so reading stuff like this sort of did reaffirm that. I did
I,
feel, okay, cool. At least there's a thing. I know that other people also go through it.
I- it's I have read a lot about it
Okay.
because
Mm,
for me personally, I didn't really like, I didn't want to put a label on it. I knew there was something like for the longest time, I thought there was something wrong with me because I
mm,
didn't really like structure. I didn't
mm,
like how things were. Like even now, like I'm questioning things, but
mm,
it was more even in like college, in school. I was like, I don't think this makes sense. Every time I
mm,
would start a project and not complete it, I
mm.
would wait till the end to do my assignments. A
Yes.
lot of those things. But it last year during my masters, there were
Mm,
a lot of times, and I think the pandemic sort of blew it up more for me. There were times where one of the things, um, ADHD is also part of the neurodivergence
mm.
uh,
Right.
multiverse. So, with ADHD, there is this thing called ADHD paralysis, where for me, I would have assignments to do, I would have a bunch of things to do, but
Mm,
I couldn't move, like I was frozen. And
mm.
I wrote to my study advisor last year, I remember, because there were days where I was just frozen. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I couldn't move.
Right.
Like I
Right.
wanted to move. My brain's very active, but my body cannot function. I can't do anything. And
Mm,
I wrote, like I explained all of this to my study advisor. I didn't know it was ADHD paralysis. Again,
mm,
I have not been clinically diagnosed, but
mm.
I also feel like when you have symptoms like this, you don't need a doctor to tell you you're sick and you have this disease. Sometimes you
Right.
can
You
put your
know.
hand on your
Uh,
forehead and know that you have a fever, and you can
right.
feel the shivers. You can know that you
Right.
have a fever without
Yeah.
going through a diagnosis. And
Mm,
I'm not saying, like, of course a diagnosis is important for medication and other stuff,
right.
but I was in the paralysis a lot of times where
Mm.
I was just frozen. I would scroll through my phone, and that's not procrastination or that's not laziness. It took me a while to understand that I wasn't
Yeah,
being lazy. I was
yeah,
just frozen.
yeah,
And the time concept, that's also one of the things that I have no concept of time. I
right.
can't, like, for me, like, I don't know how time passes. I don't get
Mm.
it. I don't like if you tell me I have 5 minutes left for me, I can't tell you. Like
Mm.
it doesn't make sense to me.
Mm.
So there were a lot of aspects. It's also I also looked back at friends I felt very connected with, which were different phases of my life where I felt like, oh, this was a friend I very much connected with, and all of them, in a way, had sort of neurodivergent uh,
Mm.
uh,
Like
features or like,
tendencies,
yeah,
tendencies.
yeah, yeah, they had some, so you could tell, like,
But
I could
yeah.
tell there were things like, uh, a little bit. So, and I feel it's not like my therapist also explained it to me, and we went
Mm.
through it, and we talked about there were a lot of coping mechanisms that she
Mm.
was taking me through and stuff, and I realized that I was doing a lot of them already.
Mm.
Like I just didn't realize
Okay,
one of
can you
the
give some examples of the coping mechanisms you're talking about?
Uh, one number one, which
Mm.
it's one of the reasons I would also like to start a community is body doubling.
Mm.
Uh, it's difficult for me to clean my house or do something, but if I'm with someone or someone's just coming and sitting in my house, don't have to do anything, just sit and exist,
Mm.
do your own thing. It
Mm.
helps me. It helps me
Mm.
get up and do my work. One of the things that I was doing was there is a mirror next to my kitchen,
Mm.
which is in my cupboard. So I would open the door when I would do my dishes, and I thought maybe I just like looking at myself. It wasn't that because I wasn't looking at myself as much. It just gives a perception that there is someone else in the room,
Mm.
and it felt like, yeah, it made it easier to do dishes.
Mm.
Um, Another thing is which I forget, which
Mm.
a lot of like neurodivergent people forget with food. Like if you have veggies, sometimes they're back at of your fridge, you would forget to cook them, they would go bad because I don't have concept of time of days. So
Mm.
there is food that I have forgotten about, and
Mm.
I don't even need to, like, I shop groceries, but I would forget about them.
Right.
So there is one thing that really helped me was uh, in the in your fridge door where the bottles and the condiments go,
Mm.
they switch it up with veggies and fresh food items, and you put the condiments in the vegetable sort of compartment or
Mm.
the drawer, because you would reach out for the condiments if you need it, but if you don't see the veggies that you have or the fruits
Mm.
you have, it's sort of out of sight, out of mind. So
Oh, okay, okay.
that really helped. Making things a competition helps
Mm.
a
Oh.
lot. Like to get a task done. Like
Mm.
I I can't do dishes under 3 minutes.
Mm.
If someone challenges me, I will do it, and it just helps me get up and do
Okay,
them. So
okay.
sometimes I set a timer or I set a song. It's like I
Mm.
can't do it under this song, so I would
This
just
is
sort of.
this is so good that you bring it up because I have done the exact same thing various number of times, and it's always been in the most stressful of situations where I just need to get something done and I really don't want to do it. But this is like big stuff. It's like, oh, a job interview or like a big exam and things like this. I would just make up enemies in my head, or I would just keep tasks for myself. I would be like, oh, I have to do the. I would just make it even tougher for me so that I do a thing. In grad school, I have a great example. I was studying for an interview, and at the same time, I had already booked tickets to New York for one day. I had one show that I wanted to attend, which I already booked 3 months ago. So this interview came up, and I had to study that weekend. So I was like, shit, I have to maybe cancel it because I really needed to sit and study. It was like it was really important for me to study, and there was a lot. There's no way I could have fit a New York trip. But I was like, no, I'm gonna go. In a very like self-sabotagey kind of way. So I'm inventing my own enemy, and then I go, oh, yo, you think I can't do it? Oh, if I'm traveling, I will do it. So like I'm fighting myself only because I've made up this enemy. So as soon as I went there, I would keep a track. Okay, I have to finish all of these things if I want to go to the next stop. So I will finish it, and I will keep walking around so that I see the city also and I study also. But it's like hyper stressful. It's like for a
Yeah.
day I do that. It's like you're fighting enemies in your head, and then you're tired for a bunch of days, which always what
So
always happens.
yes, that's the burnout. So what happens is that you do a lot of that happens with me as well, and it affects my work, which is like I would end up doing um 3 days work in one day, just
Hmm.
hyper focus and just
Hmm.
do it, and then I'm burnt out the next day. So that's
Same.
a
Same. I'm
big
going through the
sign.
cycle right now where I took it easy for almost more than a month because I just wanted to push it. I kept pushing it, and it's getting to the point where oh, everything is piling up. Now I can't avoid it. So now I have to stress out and keep doing it for a bunch of time. So because of that, I'm gonna get burnt out eventually and repeat the cycle. It will keep happening.
And the reason this happens, at least from what I've read up, is that
Hmm.
it's because your brain's looking for dopamine, and just
Hmm.
like oh, it's sort of because I think neurodivergent brains have a hormone imbalance,
Hmm.
so they try to create it by doing things last minute. So when you finish something, like you don't start a task until it becomes urgent,
Yep.
and when you do, it's sort of like a challenge, and you
Hmm.
get a rush when you sort of complete it. So
Yes. Yes.
uh yeah, so that's also one of the things, and I feel like we should probably get Tanisha on to speak more about it because she's more qualified
Yeah,
to talk
Tanisha
about
is
all of
definitely
this.
more
I
qualified
am
to talk
not.
about this.
I have just done some research and s- studied myself
Yeah.
and seen my actions. Uh, that's all I have.
Honestly,
Like,
same. The max I do is read up about it, and then it's my own observations that I keep to myself. I would like to talk about it, I think, but the thing is, I whenever I have tried to brought it up or bring it up, English brain function properly. Whenever I brought it up with people who maybe do not understand exactly what I'm talking about, you do because you can't relate to it, you appropriate it to something you know, right? So then they'll be like, hey, no, macha, everyone does it, no.
exactly. That's a
It's fine. I also do the same, and maybe they do, but
but not to
like
an
for example,
that
the way I talk about it with
uh,
you, I know that okay, you're getting it. You know exactly what I'm talking about, which I don't get that
yeah.
feeling with other people.
That's why I feel like there is sort of a community space that's needed, because it's also
Mm.
not just that. Yes, people do not understand. Like I've had people tell me about, oh, everyone's sort of lazy and procrastinates and stuff
Mm.
and tries to avoid
Which is
doing
true, yeah,
assignments.
sure. I'm not going to
Yes,
invalidate
it
you.
is
It
true,
happens for
but you're
sure.
not frozen in bed for that long that your body can't move. Like
Mm.
and it's sort of like it's like you want to do it, you really
Mm.
want to do it,
Yeah,
but
that's
you're
the thing.
just
You want to do
frozen.
it. Yes, that's the main thing. You, in fact, enjoy doing it. But
uh,
there is some reason where I don't understand because when I do my work, there are some days where I feel so elated and I love it. And I think,
yeah,
why don't I do this every day? I do like it. Even on the days that like there's never a day that I don't like it, firstly. So I'm not able to justify why am I not able to just work every day with the same amount of
yeah,
energy that on the good days I do because it doesn't make sense because I genuinely don't hate it. On the days that I do like it, I really love it. But
it,
yet there is a disconnect. And it is like, I can't explain it. It's inexplainable. So, because of that void, your head goes mad because nothing makes sense sometimes. So, you just accept it and you move on until a few weeks later, the thought again hits your head and then same shit repeats.
yeah. It's I had this conversation with my manager recently where I tried explaining it to her that
Mm,
because I honestly with the kind of work that I am doing right now, um sometimes I need to be on all like be there a lot
mm,
more, like I have to be present at work a lot more.
mm.
um, so I had to have this conversation with her that I cannot predict, like I cannot predict
Right.
the good days, I can't predict the
Mm,
bad days, I can't tell you.
mm.
I
Yeah,
wish I could, but I
yeah.
cannot.
You can't.
and
You honestly can't.
and I tried being as upfront and honest with her, which actually helped because I feel a lot less stressed at work,
Mm,
and it freed up a lot of space. But I started with why I feel like there needs to be a community. Because
mm,
one, with people like who understand what you're going through. Second, a lot of things with a lot of neurodivergence are artists, are people who
mm.
are doing some cool stuff, and they
Mhm.
all start projects and leave them halfway,
Uh,
which which also I knew
can't tell you the
that
number of
you
things
were.
that I have queued up or like, that I've never finished. It's just like just there, and
Yes,
just keep editing it or changing something, and it's never gonna get done. It's never gonna be put anywhere. But it's
yeah,
just that.
yes. And I feel like it might be chaotic when neurodivergence collaborate, but it could be something cool. Like this podcast works for us.
Yes, this
It's
podcast works so well for me. I
yeah,
can't explain it because so there is a thought that occurs all the time, and this week also I was feeling the same thing where I do have a lot of people around me here. Like it's very social. I live with three people. I am dating someone, so that's there. I have work friends, friends of roommates. So it's a very social setting where I meet these people regularly, and it not always on my terms, right? Because they are around me all the time. So whenever they're there, they're around, and this is not how what I'm used to or I prefer. I mean, I definitely appreciate that it's there, but throughout my childhood and for whatever my character forming, who I am, everything, it's always been me in my own space, and I only engage outside of it on my own terms, right?
yeah,
And suddenly when and I am very used to doing things that I don't have to explain to people, right? Because I don't like it. Yes, I sometimes I like being in my own room, and it's for no reason. I can't explain why, but something about having my own space and doing nothing and sort of being myself is very important because I feel like I can't. It's just not possible when someone's around because that's not what it is. So it takes me some time, and I need that space to just sort of recuperate. I don't know from what, but it's just essential because that's what I know to be my safe space and my home, right? So it needs to be there. Going outside by myself on a walk, for example, around a city, for example, having some sort of memory attached to a place, but only because of me. Like, oh, this is where I come. This is my thing that I do. It's my thing, my place.
yes,
Like I love being associated with certain things and having a very one-on-one relationship. Like something that only I am privy to and no one else is. That's sort of my own
yeah,
world in a way, right? I like having this own world where only I am there and no one else is there. Not a single soul, however small that may be. And sometimes maybe some people don't have that or don't even know that some people even like to have that and they can't
yeah.
relate to it. So they try to come into this world. And I'm like, no, don't come, please. Let me have my little world. No. Like, I
Yeah.
won't hate you for it. It's fine. I get it. But, like, let me have it, please. So I go into that mode. And it's difficult to explain to people. But this is something I felt even in the first few months of us hanging out on Zoom. I say hanging out, but talking on call, not on the podcast, even when everyone else was there also. So it was not just us two on the call, and we would all there would be like 6 to 7, 8 of us, and we were all talking. You would say something or some joke or some anecdote, and it's something I always relate to because I know for a fact it's you have this because you spend all the time. I know it. I know you're saying this because I also spend time by myself, and this is the thought and this is the shenanigans I do. So I know you're there. Okay, so I could relate. I'm like, okay, cool. I can get along with this person because I know she spends way too much time by herself and in her own head thinking of these thoughts. Okay, good.
I do spend a lot of time, and I've spent a lot of time just by myself in my room
Uh,
thinking. You know, like it's not that this is the same. It's not that I don't want to be social, and I have a social life, but I also need my space and my time and my like my room, my area.
right.
It's just my zone. It's yeah.
My one.
I can uh, give you an example. In college, I would have like morning college, and I was doing honors, so I would have
Mm,
evening college in India, and
mm,
my college was like 13-14 kilometers away from home.
mm.
So between morning college and afternoon college, there was like a 3 hour gap or something. And
Right.
in that 3 hour, I would bike like on my scooter, come back home for 40 minutes, and then travel back 40 minutes just to spend like less than an hour at home in my
Right.
room because
Right.
I just needed my room.
Yes.
And then I would feel much better going back. If I
Yeah.
would have stayed
No,
on campus for 3 hours, I would feel like terrible.
I would feel so bad. No, I get it. It was the same. No, I like there would be nights where I'm out till like 1:32 or something, and I can just stay at the friend's place where I was. Like, no, I can't do this. I need to go back.
I want to be home. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we have 7 minutes left, and this has started to feel more like therapy session that has like a
Yeah.
timer ticking and it ends, and I don't really like it.
You don't really like.
It's just like there is like I don't like having limitations to
Yes.
things.
Even I don't like. I'm like, okay. As soon as that timer came, I was like, oh,
Yes, and
what? This is ending. Oh shit! I don't want.
throughout the call, I was like, when it's gonna start now, it's gonna
Yeah,
start
it's gonna
now.
start.
Like,
Okay, we need to wrap it up. Oh, so how can I quickly finish this conversation? What is the ending? What should we talk next?
that's how therapy sessions feel like. Like
This
it's gonna
is
end, it's gonna end.
this is truly becoming a therapy session, to be honest. After the last episode and this episode, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. We went to a lot of places where I didn't think we'd go, and in the so I have to break some news to you, Anushka. In the beginning of this episode, if you remember, we started off saying that we were going to come up with an intro. And
I
then
have given
you
up.
you diverged immediately. Then I brought you back, and then somehow both of us forgot about it.
Yeah, see, the thing is, I get very excited about something,
Hmm.
and then like I am very invested in it, but
Yeah,
then I
yeah,
forget about it, and then I'm not as excited about it. Like I
yeah.
would
I'm
like to do an
hyper
intro,
invested in it.
yeah,
I'm
but my brain is not on the tangent anymore where I can think of an intro, and that's why I was thinking if someone else can make it, because I don't want to make it anymore, at least not today.
not today. Okay, it's taken too long because I think in the beginning even I was like, okay, cool. I think we can come up with something. So there were a few ideas in my
Remember?
head. No, it's just blank. I can't think of anything.
Do you remember that night when we stayed up and made a presentation and made like logos and stuff
Oh,
and
I
did the
remember.
entire thing, made a playlist. We made a
Oh,
presentation, made
God.
logos, put pictures together, and made a playlist. Do you have the presentation still? I
I
don't
think I do. I think I do because it was on my Google PPT or Google presentations that we
And
made.
then we
It must be there
presented it
somewhere.
also. And we recorded a video about it too. Like we did the
Yeah.
whole presentation, logo, and design.
For some context, tell the people that are listening what this presentation is.
Oh, what was it about?
So, okay, I think this was one of those. It was a night for you. It was afternoon for me because I was here and I remember this, and I didn't feel like doing my assignments, and you were just awake because you were
You
awake. And we didn't end this call, so we were just on call, and no one else was there, and we were doing some time pass for a bunch of hours, talking the
And then
same.
other
It's the
people
same
joined also.
absolute nonsense we would be talking, and then we were like, okay, let's start a radio show. We were, oh, this is like the precursor to the podcast. Remember, we were like, oh, we were playing
Yes.
music. Okay, everything's coming back to me.
And the background.
Yes, yes. So we were listening to music, number one, and we were talking, and I was doing my own work, you were doing your own work. I think. Yes, that was what was happening. And we were discussing how this is so cool that you can just have a radio session, like where you can play
Oh, yes.
music and have conversations and chill
Yes.
and do your work.
That's
And
right.
we thought
We
we'll
should
do
do it.
yes, we thought we
Hmm.
can do this regularly. And if anyone wants to come hang out, they can just come hang out. But that's it. We would just do that. And then that didn't happen. But then right after that, we were talking about doing a podcast. And then we
No, but
started
there
it.
was this other call also where it was you, me, and then other people joined up because they woke
Yes.
up.
Yes, Akshay and Nidhi got up and they
Yes,
joined because it was
yes.
for a while, and then Akshay joined. So Akshay joined in on the shenanigans, and then Nidhi woke up and joined, and she joined the shenanigans. And I think at some point
Slept
Tanisha joined
also.
and joined the shenanigans and left for
Yeah,
a while.
yeah, because I think Nidhi slept off and
Yes.
then Tanisha came in and Tanisha saw everyone has like filters on and there
Yes.
is some weird vibe happening at 4, 5 a.m.
Yeah, our virtual background was the space, and all of us had halos on our heads. Okay.
This very weird vibe happening with music and stuff, and everyone's like doing something. It's
Yeah,
like we're
yeah,
coding or something, but we were just making the
yeah.
presentation.
Yes,
And it's like we're doing a group assignment. There was no group assignment.
there
Mahesh
was
was
nothing
avoiding
to
his
be done.
assignments.
Yes. Oh my God, yeah. It was the most prime waste of time we've ever done.
No, but it was good. Like
It was
it was
so fun though. I really
so
miss
stupid.
grad school days. The things that I remember the most, number one is I was like socializing a lot more, out of my element a lot more, meeting a lot of new experiences I was having. So that was number one. Number two, I spent a lot of time by myself, and hence a lot of time with Tess also that time, because we would just hang out. Because of the time difference, it would work out so well for me because I didn't need to be in college. I could just be home and chill for hours with no
Yeah.
responsibilities. I can work at my own time and stuff like that. So it was extremely cool. So fun.
You've taken calls from desks outside college also. I remember like
Yes,
benches
yes,
you would
yes.
sit
I
and
would
take
be in
calls.
college, get out and just get on call. Because of that only, I think Shubha was telling, dude, I saw you go through college, like your entire education, because like you would be on at home in the library, in your outside, sitting in the lawn,
We knew
bus,
your life.
so many things. Yeah.
We have 1 minute left.
I mean, we're not going to come up with a title anyway,
Hmm.
so that's another episode gone.
It's
Wow, I
okay.
can't believe it. Honestly, I can't believe that we attempted it again and could not get through.
It's me.
Ah.
I,
No,
I
I
didn't
think
want
it's
to
both of
do
us. See, I stopped you once, okay? And then I only diverged and then we tangented somewhere else. So we are both the problems. It's okay. A negative and a negative is a positive. A positive and a positive is also a positive. So we're good.
And thank you so much. This is how we will end today's episode.
Yes, all right. Yeah, bye bye.
Bye.